Thank you for this opportunity to present about dangerous dust, an unfortunate mineral locality we do not often hear about at the Rochester Mineralogical Symposium in the human lung. The display is at the Maude Abbott Medical Museum at McGill University that originated in the 19th century. The museum is on the second floor of the Strathcona Anatomy and Dentistry building on McGill University campus. Seen here in relation to other interesting places on the campus, including the type locality for Dawsonite, the Redpath Museum, which has McGill University's mineral collection, the Frank Dawson Adams building, which is the home for the geology department at McGill. This is the address for the museum on University Street, again on the second floor. The museum collection is historical, having originated in the 1800s. Dr. Rick Fraser is the museum's director, also a respiratory pathologist. It was his idea to create a display about dust, and I have collaborated with him to provide mineral samples and present the project. The display is housed in these 3 custom-built cases. We will focus mainly on the case here in the middle, going row by row, starting in the upper left. In the upper left, the first shelf shows various applications of minerals whereby exposure could occur, including a bottle of talc, vermiculite from insulation, asbestos in the context of these Christmas decorations, as well as a photo from mining at Thetford Mines. The photographs are from the McCord Museum, also just down University Street and worth a visit if you are coming to see a museum tour such as of the Redpath here. The second shelf shows a display of asbestos, including various applications and forms of asbestos, close-up of various types of asbestos. The photograph in the background is the bagging room at Thetford Mines in Quebec. A scanning electron micrograph photo shows different fiber types comparing amphibole and chrysotile. That can be seen in correlation with the samples above of amphibole asbestos. We tried to include Canadian samples where possible, although this was not as easy for commercially mined asbestos, such as in this case rebecite from South Africa. Chrysotile is seen as in this sample from the Jeffrey mine. And a sample of lung showing asbestosis, a lung disease related to asbestos exposure. This shelf shows how dust particles can cause disease. It talks about clearance and accumulation. The accumulation of dust in the lungs depends on the characteristics of the mineral, both physically as well as chemically, but also biological factors. This shelf focuses on those biological factors. This shelf shows mining, including drill bits, whereby illustrating the principle that the danger in terms of dust is in the formation of dust from the minerals rather than the minerals themselves. A ore cart carved out of coal, and a sample of human lung affected by lung disease caused by coal exposure. You can see the darkened quality of the lung tissue affected by coal. The next shelf here shows quartz, the purpose being to show the ubiquitous nature of quartz, which is implicated in silicosis. Only crystalline SiO2, as in quartz, is known to cause lung disease. Again, the focus is mainly on Canadian samples, except for this geode provided for aesthetic purposes for Morocco. For most of the public, quartz may not be obvious in rock samples as in the bottom right here. So this series of samples illustrates a quartz crystal, quartz crystals in granitic pegmatite, and then finally granite, as well as diorite and quartzite. A more local quartz crystal from a quarry in the eastern townships of Quebec, and a cherry flame agate are included for some aesthetic value. This lung sample shows the effect of silica on the lung, including silicosis, directly related to silica, as well as indirectly related tuberculosis. Silica exposure can increase the likelihood to get other diseases, such as tuberculosis. But another interesting thing about this sample is that this silica exposure occurred in a coal miner, and we can see also the effect of coal in this lung. On the next shelf, there are more photos of coal mining and radiographs showing the effect of silicosis in the lungs on X-ray, as well as crushed glass, giving an example of how sandblasting can be done more safely using amorphous silica, which is not known to be implicated in lung disease. Finally, moving on to the drawers. This drawer has this part dedicated to hematite and goethite, causing iron workers' lung disease. It's not certain that the hematite and goethite are directly pathogenic versus silica, as the disease processes look very similar to silicosis. Nevertheless, iron deposition can be seen in the lung related to these minerals. A sample of goethite from an iron mine in Nova Scotia is shown, as well as hematite pellets related to mine production from various hematite mines in Quebec. This section of the drawer is dedicated to coal and graphite, which cause lung disease. Photomicrographs are shown of coal deposits in the lungs. A graphite crystal sample from St. Lever is shown. This part of the drawer is dedicated to berylliosis, lung disease caused by elemental beryllium, which is not a naturally occurring mineral. Naturally occurring sources of beryllium in the form of beryl are shown. Unfortunately, no great aesthetically pleasing samples from Canada, but Canadian samples of beryl nonetheless. Beryl has not been shown to cause lung disease, but it is given here in contrast to the elemental beryllium, which is implicated in the lung disease, and a photomicrograph not showing beryllium deposits in the lung, but granulomas, which are characteristic of the lung disease berylliosis. And finally, talc, including a sample from a talc mine in Quebec, as well as a picture of talc deposited inside the lungs on a photomicrograph. Talc causes a disease similar to silicosis. It may also increase the risk of malignancy and cancer. The next case shows lung sections and the knives used to prepare them. Here on the right, an example of lung affected by silica, a normal lung, again a lung affected by silica, and these two lungs affected by silica on the right, including coal, and on the left, with hematite miner's lung, including iron deposition and tuberculous emphysema. Finally, the last case shows the effect of dust on lung function. These machines are used to measure lung function. On the left, a larger, more historical machine, and on the right, a more modern spirometer, including a chart showing the effect of dust on lung function. Here are 3 radiographs demonstrating asbestos and the diseases that it causes, including pleural plaques on the left, mesothelioma, a type of cancer, in the middle, and asbestosis on the right. Finally, in the drawers, 4 reference radiographs. These were used as standards for grading silicosis in the era before computers and computerized radiography. Our references, and a big thank you to Joan O'Malley, the assistant director at the museum, who provided all of the good quality photographs in this talk. Mine were the poor quality photographs. That's what I can take credit for. And we have a little bit of time for questions or comments. Thank you again.